Afternoon, everybody. It's your boy, Cat, from the 330 in Ohio. Today I got Jon Brandt on the phone, bassist and um, assisting vocalist of the band Pyretta Blaze. They are kind of a new band on the scene. So, John, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your band and also, the info on where everybody can find about you guys?
Sure. Like you said, the band's Pyretta Blaze kind of came about from, our last band kind of ended. We went our separate ways. That band continued on. I had kind of an idea of what I wanted to do and decided to put a band together looking for a specific sound. Um, as you said, we are a new band, but every member of this band is what you call a pro local musician. They've been in some pretty big bands in our area. Our drummer, Scuba, he comes from a band called Dirt Chili that's been big in the local scene for about 10 years now. Shanda, our vocalist, she was in a band called Small Town Harlot. She kind of got a punk influence. Played tons of shows around. Myself, the lead and rhythm guitarist, we've been in bands together up to about 10 years ago. We started in bands called Fallen, 190 Proof, Pretty Rage. Been in a few together with those guys, so they were the first ones I hit up when I decided to start this new project.
Okay. Now, also, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody out there who's not familiar with the band all the different aspects on social media they can find you about you guys?
Yeah, Facebook right now is our main focus. We haven't quite gotten the handle on Twitter and all that stuff. I'm technologically challenged, so.
Me too, brother. Me too.
But you go to Facebook, look up Pyretta Blaze Rocks, PYRETTA Rocks, and that'll take you right to our page. We've got pictures, we've got merch. We were supposed to get in the studio last weekend, but Shanda ended up coming down with a little bit of laryngitis. With our show coming up on the 23rd, we decided to let her save her voice, so we're going to wait about probably early April to get in the studio and at least get one track down so we can get that up on the website so everybody can hear what Pyretta Blaze sounds like.
Okay. And speaking of merch, I noticed that you guys did release some merch. You did mention that on your Facebook page, on the band page. I also noticed a notation that said there's limited edition stuff for the people who decide to come and talk to you guys and hang out at the show. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we got some custom picks made from Clayton Pick Company, two-sided white pearl celluloid. They're really cool looking, very thick, very collectible. Got our base logo on one side, the band name on the other. Those are going to be specific hands out to people getting crazy in the crowd. It was one of those things that we talked about, and as kids growing up, or even now, you go to a show. I mean, that was always the coolest thing in the world to end up with a pick when you went home
Oh yeah.
after a show. So instead of selling it as merch, it was like, nah, man, this is gonna be a giveaway to the people that are getting nuts in the crowd and really getting down with us. So.
Oh yeah, and being a fan of music, I totally know what you're talking about. I think it's the coolest thing in the world when, the band gives the fans a little bit of recognition for just being there. And like you said, that's really cool. I think that you guys are giving the stuff out, you know, just for hanging out. I mean, that just
Yeah.
shows that you're all about the fans and you're about the music. Now, one thing about John is I seen him play with another band, and this dude is rock and roll, man. He's on his bass and he will get down in the crowd and he will get back to back with you while you're up front jamming. And I think it's really cool because the interaction with fans, once again, when bands interact with fans and make them a little bit part of the show, it makes them feel like rock stars. When they go home, they got something to talk about, tell their buddies, and I think that's really cool, man. Now, you do did you do a lot of work with Liquid Sugar Entertainment? Did you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, that was Kevin and I were in Cyrus together. He was the drummer and also the manager, and he had a lot of great ideas for where to take that band. Got us out of state, booked a lot of shows. But Kevin's been in the music scene probably good 20, 25 years, you know, since he was a kid, really. And he's seen a lot of the pitfalls that happen, especially with original music. It's a little bit tougher to get out and play, get paid, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So he had an idea when he decided to leave Cybus and wanted to start this company. And basically, it's kind of an advocate for original music. He's working on becoming the go-between between the venue and the band, being the promoter, making sure that information gets to the band, money gets to the band, that everything works good for everybody involved. In other words, the venue gets their money from, you know, alcohol sales, ticket sales, whatever kind of thing. But the bands, you know, get a guaranteed money as well. So we're slowly building it, but trying to get bigger and bigger shows. We've got bands signing up with us all the time that want us for booking, management. Of course, Kevin manages my band.
Okay.
That was a stipulation I told him when I went to work for him. I said, hey, you got to put us on the list. So, but so far it's going big. You know, we've just started in the last few months, and the number of local bands that are hitting us up wanting to do shows. Kevin's constantly building his contact list with venues and all that, even to the point where towards fall he may be helping a couple local bands do an East Coast tour.
Okay.
So that's on the horizon as well, is to help get these bands, you know, outside their local area, new markets, new venues, new fans.
Okay. Now, I've seen you guys up in Toledo when you played with Cybus. Now, you're from Michigan, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then pretty much anybody in the Michigan and Northern Ohio area, they can contact the Liquid Sugar Entertainment if they're, you know, trying to get their foot in the door then?
Definitely. That's what we want to do. We want to hook up with bands, you know, in the local, you know, 3-4 state area, where one of Kevin's big ideas was, okay, we've got, you know, our stable of bands here in Grand Rapids. Well, I want to get them, say, Toledo. Well, we need a few Toledo bands, you know, because, of course, Grand Rapids, you know, if that's where we're from, we're not going to be able to bring 50 people to a show in Toledo. So what the object is to try and get, say, Toledo bands, 2 bands, to bring the people to the show. We'll send one of our bands down there to join it, you know, get some new fans, get their music in that area, and then do the same thing for them. We'll book a show up here with 2 or 3 local bands that are going to be the draw to bring people in. Then we'll pull one of those Toledo bands up, and so they get into a new market as well. And, you know, like I say, we're trying, you know, for Chicago, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio,
Okay.
Wisconsin, you know, anything like that. And then the goal is to, at some point, to be able to put all these bands on kind of like a mini tour, you know, hit each one of these states kind of thing, you know, and slowly expand their fan base and recognition in the area. So.
All right. Now, you guys have a show Saturday. I know it's a 2-day event. So why don't you go ahead and tell us about this 2-day event, where the location is, and what it pertains.
Yeah, it's called Captain Hollywood Holler and Hootenanny.
Okay.
Hey, that five real fast.
Call it the Triple H show.
Yeah. It's set up by Holy Warheads and Slumlord Radio. The lead singer guitarist for Slumlord Radio. It's his birthday Saturday. Just so happens to be mine as well. So he wanted to do this whole weekend-long kind of event. So there's 4 bands on Friday night and 4 bands on Saturday night. And looking up all the bands, I can tell you the bands that are on with me Saturday night. There's quite a few here.
Yeah, I was looking at it earlier before you called.
Yeah. Friday night, the 22nd, you got Lucid Furs, Avalon Black, Moto, and the Holy Warheads. And then on the 23rd, it'll be us, Pyretta Blaze, Epsia, Fukushima Daisies, and Slumlord Radio.
Okay. Now, is that a pay at the door event, or is there a spot you can go ahead and tell everybody to go ahead and get their tickets at now?
Nope, this is there was a couple of venues here in our area, Grand Rapids, that are really awesome about supporting live local original music. This venue is called the Local 741.
Okay.
It's free to you get in, they what they do is uh, based on their alcohol sales for the evening. So you want to invite all your alcoholic friends to come watch you play. But
Oh yeah,
they,
hand in hand.
they do that for the band because they don't like to do the pay at the door kind of thing. They're not that. It's a local bar.
Okay.
That's set up as a music venue. Like I say, we've got some shows coming up in June. Another one is Mulligan's Pub. They do the same thing. They're really great about getting bands in and letting them set up and play. Bring your friends and drink and have a good time.
Yeah, that seems to also, get more people in the door because a lot of people might have a couple bucks to go have a few beers, but they don't have a couple bucks to pay to get in. So
Right.
I think that's a really good idea then to get people and get their ears opened up and stuff. And like you were just saying, so you have what other shows do you have planned coming up? You said in was it June? You said?
Yeah, well, we've got March 23rd, the Saturday at Local 741, April 14th. We're back at Local 741 with Elsie Binks from Detroit, ourselves, and another local band called Fathom 19.
Okay.
That's going to be a hell of a show. There's some awesome talent going there. June 1st at Mulligan's, we've got ourselves a band out of Lansing called Loa, and another local band here where I'm from, Greenville, called Bleed the Water.
Okay.
And then June 28th at the Music Factory in Battle Creek, which is a pretty good sized music venue. That one, it's an actual ticketed event.
Okay.
I can't even tell you all the bands on that venue for sure, but we're opening for a national touring band called Elysium.
Okay. Sounds like you guys are for just being a fresh band, as you say. It sounds like you guys got some stuff stacked up and stuff, which is good because that also shows a little bit of legitimacy because a lot of people, they don't want to go check out certain bands because they're not really heard of them and they're like, well, are they just a fly by night thing and they're not really serious? Is the music good? But I was checking out some of your guys' the one video of you guys on the Facebook page, and I like the sound. We were touching on your former band and then your band now. You have a female fronted band. I think it's really good. It's really coming up. It's starting to open up the scene, and because when we were younger, man, it used to be all dudes. You'd go to a show, you'd go see a band, it was all dudes. Girls didn't want to go, and I just think it's really cool now because if you got a girlfriend who's into music, she's more indulged to say, hey, let's go check these bands out.
Right.
What's your opinion on that? Is the same thing, or you mean?
Yeah, definitely. I've actually been, most of the bands I've ever been in have been female fronted all the way back from cover bands and all that stuff.
Okay.
I think a female can sing a wider range of songs, especially in the cover range. It's kind of strange. Not saying that you can't for a guy to do it.
Yes.
Female cover song. But I just always thought that was kind of cool. And even in the cover bands, we had a couple of guys that sang too, so it wasn't just just all female. But when you get into the heavier stuff, I think the girls are, man, just making a name for themselves.
Yeah.
Raven Black, In This Moment, Butcher Babies, all of them are just coming out hard. And that's what I was looking for when I started this band. I wanted a front woman that would just, crush the stage. And Shanda, I found out through a friend, she's from right here in my little town of Greenville as well. It says she was in a band called Small Town Harlots that played quite a bit, very punk influenced, very heavy. She's got the look. She looks like a front woman. She's all tatted up.
Yes, oh yes, definitely. She's a cutie. Not to sound like that guy, but now, another thing I've noticed is you love to play a camo bass, man. I'm a big camo guy, dude. I've got camo shorts on right now.
Oh, yeah.
Is that kind of like your go-to bass style? What kind of basses also do you prefer to play?
Right now I'm playing all Jacksons. I play 5 strings. I've got 2 of them. My main one is that Kelly Bird, which is Jackson's version of a Thunderbird.
Yes.
And it's got the camo vinyl on it. And then
Oh yeah, I love them,
It's
man.
just kind of my standout thing. So
Yeah, and like I said, man, you've always got your hat on, you got your bass going, and you're a rocking dude. And by the sounds of it, it sounds like you've been pretty much involved in music your whole life. Then is that correct?
yeah, I started playing guitar when I was 12. Um, Never got into a band. You know, it was one of those. I just never felt I was good enough. I was kind of in my mid 30s and started playing out then. And you know, at the time I was playing mostly rhythm guitar, and everybody played rhythm guitar, so it was kind of hard to get in a band. And I thought, well, I kind of fiddled around with bass. My oldest son picked up a bass when he was 17, and that's all he's ever played. And the kid's phenomenal. Um, he was always picking on me to, you know, hey, play bass, play bass. Kept seeing all these bands needing a bass player, so I got a hold of one that was local. And I said, give me a minute to learn stuff, and I'll join you. And they were cool with it, so I started playing the bass. And man, I put the guitar down. I've not picked it up since. You know, I enjoy the bass. It's a lot of the everybody's like, well, is it easier? It's not easier. It's a whole different style than playing guitar. It's
Yes. Oh
different.
yes.
You know, I'm very, you know, my right arm that's picking is slamming with the drums, and my left hand is playing the guitars. You know, the same stuff with the guitar. So it's a intermediary between you know the rhythm of the drums and the guitar parts. So it's a good mesh. There's a lot of guys that play lead bass. I'm terrible at that.
Yes.
I'm a band bass player. I enjoy that part of it. You know, being
Yeah.
able to move around on stage, interact with the crowd, and just get crazy. I love it.
Yeah, and you're definitely not one of them guys that's on the stage just like look at me. You do keep great tempo, and I mean, when you were on stage and you got down on the floor and you're going around, man, I'm thinking, I know he knows his tool, I know he knows his craft, but man, that takes some coordination to be able to, you know, be playing your bass and then in your mind think, okay, I want to go jam with this guy, and then also keep time with the people on stage. So I give you mad props to that, man. It's very
If you listen close, I hear clunkers all the time. I've got a T-shirt that says I'm the world's okayest bass player, and I'm okay with it.
yeah, that's awesome, dude. See, I love quirky shirts like that. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you know, but it's fun, and that's kind of the thing for me. You know, I mean, you know, I used to get kind of talked to about, you know, I heard you mess up. Like, yeah, well, I can play perfect if I just want to stand there, but what's the fun in that? You know?
Yeah, looking like a robot.
Yeah, you know, let's get nuts on this thing. You know, the crowd, if they're really enjoying it, they're not, you know, gonna be like, oh, geez, he missed a note there. They don't even notice. You know, there's been so many times my wife's come to shows and I come off stage and I was like, boy, that song was a train wreck. And she's like, what do you mean?
She
Oh man,
didn't even notice.
didn't even know. Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm like, really? You know, so when the crowd's getting into it, you know, they dig that. I love that part of it. You know, I'm a fan. You know, so when I'm at a show, man, I'm you know down there on the floor, right in the front row,
hmm
digging the hell out of it. You know, all the bands that play with us, man, I'm usually right there on the floor while they're playing. You know,
Yeah, and
that's neat. You know.
you just read my mind because that's the next thing I was going to touch base on was, when I got to check you guys out, you guys were the opening act. But when you guys got off stage, you didn't go sit at the bar. You didn't go in the back in the green room. You were on the floor for every band that followed. And, you were even like, come on, you guys, what are you doing, crowd? Let's get into this. Check these guys out. And, you know,
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I love live music. You know, greatest thing in the world. That connection you get. You know, it doesn't matter if you're in a crowd with 20 people or 20,000. You know, it's amazing the camaraderie. You know, on the floor.
yes.
Whether it's mosh pits. You know, I've seen some brutal ones, but man, I've seen guys just get plowed. Man, everybody's first there to pick the dude up.
Yeah.
Hey, dust him off and go. You know, I mean, that's metalheads right there.
Yeah, your son and his buddy. When Broken Rail went on, I was up front, and they starting a pit, and his buddy's like, saw me standing there with my cane, so I was kind of like, I'm gonna scoot out a little bit. I'm gonna lean up against the speaker, so if I get nailed, I'm good. Your son and his buddy were like, man, just push me, dude, push me, and I'm like, I can't, man. He's like, no, man, we got you. It's cool. And then I ended up over when Aboleth started to play. I was sitting in the chair because the floor started getting crazy, and Muppet was in the pit, so I'm sitting on a bar stool over on the wall, and next thing I know, I see Muppet and your son going at it, in the pit having a time, and Muppet just gets chucked and goes flying across the floor and bounces off my chair. And your son and them, instantly grabbed him up, snatched him up, and pulled him up. And it was crazy because, I make jokes about my disability. A lot of people think it's distasteful or not. But for the rest of the tour, when I, was with them guys, I was like, dude, I'm the one with the cripple problem, and you're the dude who's flying across the floor. What's the problem here? But like you said, man, I love that. I love the camaraderie. I love, a true fan, like you said, man. They see somebody go down, they don't worry about keeping going. They, get that dude up.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure everybody's all right. They're there to, everybody's there to have a good time. Slam around a little bit, release some aggression, and but nobody wants to, intentionally hurt anybody.
Exactly.
It's just an awesome brotherhood. It's amazing.
And this is something I ask usually to close up with. Could you go ahead and enlighten anybody listening on some bands around you that you know of that they might not know of that's under their radar? Maybe those can also give a chance out. Like I said, support the local scene.
Oh, definitely, definitely. We've got a lot. Like I say, I'm east of Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is probably one of the big cities here, but I'm in a little town called Greenville, and we've got a pretty jumping music scene. We've got ourselves a band called Bleed the Water. They've been around 4 or 5 years. Got a couple albums out. Their lead singer Andy, I've known him, since my kids were in school, and been following Andy. Different bands he's been in and all that. I'm always up front at his shows. Love it. Another one, local, Deep Fall. They've got their first CD out. Actually working on a second. Out of Grand Rapids, like I mentioned, Fathom 19, Holy Warheads, Slumlord Radio. These are all guys that have been just, grinding it out for years and years, and have never given up the love or the passion for music. They dominate the local scene awesomely. A little further out, Detroit area, like I said, Elsie Binks.
Okay.
This band is phenomenal. I cannot believe they're not on a national tour yet. They soon will be, I'm sure. They got 1 or 2 CDs out. They come into a venue, and it doesn't matter how big the stage is. They've got 7 people on that stage, and they move. I mean, it is not choreographed movement, none of that, but they're interacting with the crowd. They've got everything going. They're just phenomenal to see live. So excited to be playing with them.
Okay.
In April. So that's going to be a kick-ass show. So check them out. There's so many, man. I'm brain cramping here, but we got such a good music scene. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely building in our different state area. Like I like to talk about it seems like a lot of these bands that I'm figuring and learning about are all from like blue collar towns, hardworking towns. So it makes the music that much purer, and it makes the musicians a lot more humble. They they don't have that complex that I'm a rock star. Thanks for coming, go away. And I love it because I've seen so much more interaction now. I'm 42 years old, and I've been going to concerts all my life, and recently, just in the last 3 years, have I actually gone to concerts and actually been able to sit and hang out with people,
Yeah.
And like I said, I think it's the background and whatnot. So, well, I just want to tell you thanks for calling in today, man. Everybody out there, go to Facebook, look up Pyretta Blaze, give them a listen. They're a fresh new band. From what I've heard of them, I like the sound. They've got the look, they got the sound. Knowing Jon, he's a tough as nails dude who loves his craft, and they would I know they love your support and everything. Go check them out Saturday. And what was the name of the place again, kind sir?
Local 741, right in Grand Rapids.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and talk to Jon for a few more minutes. Everybody out there on YouTube, like and subscribe. Go to this band's page, like, share. Like I've said many, many times, CD sales are by the wayside nowadays. For these bands to get the recognition they need, these people are looking at the shares, they're looking at the likes. So, support local music. It's the best thing out there. And everybody have a great day.